So if you're on social media 24/7 like the rest of us, which you are, I mean, what else do you do all day? You may have noticed that Web 3.0 is getting popular once again. People are saying this is going to be the future of the internet, and they are discussing who's going to lead this movement. Is it Jack Dorsey? Is it Mark Andreessen? I mean, they are going back and forth on Twitter, and one of them is blocking the other. I mean, whenever any person fights on Twitter, I'm like, come on, man. But that's not the point. Let's talk about what Web3 actually means, and does it even deserve the hype that it's getting? To better understand what web really means, let's understand the internet first. Now let's say this is me with my computer. Now I don't have any in real life, but let's say I have 5 friends who also have computers. Now we all have some cool files that we want to share with one another, so we come up with a system where we connect all of our computers together. So we put together some protocols that allow the computers to talk to one another, and boom, we have a network. And we discover that there is another group of friends who also do the same thing, so we want to connect our network to theirs. So we decide to connect 2 of our networks together with a thick ass cable, ass not included. So there you have it. Just like that, we have a network made of 2 networks. We can call this the internet. And you remember the software we had with a bunch of protocols and everything? Yep, that's the web. So the internet is a physical network of computers, and web is a software that runs on top that allows them to communicate. Now when the internet was young, we just had the first version of web. You can call this Web 1.0. It's also called as the read-only web for simplicity because it mostly had web pages that were static and they were only meant for you to read out of them, and you couldn't contribute anything yourself. You could read some information, maybe download some files, and that's about it. But thankfully, just like any piece of software, web can be upgraded. So then came along Web 2.0, which is what we are using right now. Now this can be labeled as an interactive web, meaning that you as a user can interact with the pages that you see. You can leave comments and even create your own content. The rise of social media and a pool of user-generated content began to skyrocket the internet. It gave rise to several billion-dollar industries, including big tech. Now you may be thinking, this all sounds pretty good to me, but there is one major flaw with Web 2.0. Massive centralization of power and authority. You see, when the majority of Web 2.0 is driven by user engagement, whichever company builds a platform for many users to come together will end up owning most of the internet. Google made something called a search engine which was very popular. I mean, you don't have to remember the URLs of websites anymore. You can just search and the URLs will automatically come up. That convenience attracted a lot of people, and now they are a tech giant. Similar situations gave rise to the FANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. I think they are now called MANG because it's Meta. But we've already seen the numerous controversial cases with the sheer amount of power these guys have. That is something that's slowly starting to change with the advent of crypto and decentralization, and that is going to be the essence of Web 3.0. And if you're thinking this decentralization thing sounds familiar and I'm already using it, you're right. You see, when you upgrade a software, the old one doesn't really go away. I mean, there are still Web 1.0 pages floating around, even though we are primarily using Web 2.0 these days. So there is nothing really holding a company back from developing Web 3.0 concepts. And they already have. Facebook has switched to Meta, and there are many crypto wallets like MetaMask which have the same vision for the internet. These companies are building a future where we live in the web itself. You already know about Meta and their projects in extended reality. You probably also know that some companies have invested millions of dollars buying virtual real estate. I mean, most people are convinced that decentralization is the future. This concept where everyone has equal control over a platform and there is no single authority. And I'm one of them. I genuinely believe that when everyone plays a crucial role, the community truly grows stronger. Cryptocurrency is the live example of this. It's the fastest growing asset class in the history of humanity. NFTs are another example of this, where artists are digitizing their art and owning their intellectual property that way. I mean, if you were to set up your life on a Web 3.0 platform like Metaverse, NFTs will surely be the best way to buy and sell intellectual property. Unlike Web 2.0, where big tech companies control everything and they have the monopoly, Web 3.0 will give the power back to the user. Or at least that's the idea, but there's a flip side to this. The everyday platforms that we use are not the only thing getting upgraded with the web. Search engines, their web crawlers, and the underlying AI will also get significantly better. Now that they won't have as much control over your data, behavior tracking will be the next big thing. As I said, we'll be virtually living in the web, so advertisements will be taken to a whole new level. Now I'm sure that the current tech that we use to ensure our online anonymity, like VPNs, will also upgrade their game, but whoever makes the first move will surely have the advantage here. Now, of course, the existing web will not go anywhere. As I said, this is an upgrade. That means the older one will stay and new features will arrive. So while the current social media is not going anywhere and you can still watch YouTube videos just like you can do today, I think that most social medias will scale up their game to meet the Web3 demands. I mean, Twitter has been planning a decentralization project for a very long time. They may act on that pretty soon. But all things considered, Web 3.0 is a step in the right direction in my opinion. I think it'll be pretty cool if we get a chance to upgrade and be a part of something better. To be in a space where we can directly interact with one another without any corporate censorship or a wishy-washy algorithm controlling the whole platform. But going back to our original question, does it deserve all this hype? Well, not immediately. I mean, we all pretty much grew up with Web 2.0 and we are only now getting exposure to the decentralized technologies. Decentralized platforms are only as strong as the communities and people involved in it. So unless a vast majority of people take part in it, it won't be anything substantial, so it may take a while for it to catch up speed. Just like any good technology, it's definitely worth getting excited over, but I think the hype is a bit premature at this point. But those are just my thoughts. Now that you know a bit more about Web 3.0, what do you think? Looking at all the advancements we have made with just Web 2.0, I wouldn't be surprised if a vast majority of Web 2.0 users would naturally align to 3.0, because I think it's an overall positive direction for the internet. Do you agree? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below and we can also chat on our Discord. Link is in the description.